Now, millions of people are one power outage, one storm, one supply chain disruption away from total chaos. But a small group of quietly prepared individuals will barely notice. Which side will you be on? In the next several minutes, you'll discover the exact 20% of preparations that handle 80% of real emergencies. No doomsday bunkers, no paranoia, just practical steps that could save your family when it matters most. This isn't about prepping for zombies or nuclear war. This is about being ready for blackouts, hurricanes, civil unrest, and the kinds of disruptions that actually happen. Welcome to Food Decider, where we cut through the noise and give you actionable strategies for real-life situations. If you want to be part of the quietly prepared, the smart ones who sleep better at night, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss essential information that could make all the difference. Let's start with the foundation of all preparedness, the 80-20 rule. The Pareto principle tells us that 20% of your efforts will cover 80% of your needs. Instead of obsessing over unlikely scenarios, focus on the basics that will serve you in the vast majority of emergencies. This approach saves you time, money, and mental energy while building a rock-solid foundation. You don't need to prepare for everything, just the things that are most likely to happen. Now let's talk about water, because this is absolutely non-negotiable. You can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. Experts recommend storing at least 15 gallons of portable water per person. That breaks down to about 1 gallon per day for 2 weeks, covering drinking, cooking, and basic hygiene. If you're thinking that sounds like a lot, you're right. But if space is limited, start with whatever you can manage. Even a few gallons can make the difference between panic and survival in the first critical days of a crisis. But stored water can run out or become contaminated, so you need backup plans. Equip yourself with a portable water filter or countertop model that can make questionable waters safe to drink. Purification tablets, UV pens, and even regular unscented bleach used carefully are valuable backups. The key here is knowing how to use these methods before you actually need them. Practice filtering water. Read the instructions on those purification tablets now, not when you're already in crisis mode and your hands are shaking. Here's something most people overlook. Water doesn't last forever. You need to rotate your supply every 6 months to prevent stagnation and bacterial growth. Mark your calendar right now. Make it a routine like changing your smoke detector batteries. And make sure every family member knows where the water is stored and how to treat it. Clean water isn't just about survival. It's about staying healthy and functional when the world goes sideways. Next up is food, and this is where smart stockpiling comes into play. You're aiming for at least 23,000 calories per person, which works out to about 1,500 calories a day for 2 weeks. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1,500 calories isn't much. You're absolutely right. In an emergency, the goal isn't to feast. It's to stay fueled and functional. Focus on shelf-stable foods that don't require refrigeration and can be stored safely for months or even years. Mix long-term prepper meals with everyday foods you already eat. Canned goods, pasta, rice, peanut butter, oats. These are all excellent choices. The key is choosing items that are either ready to eat or only need hot water, because cooking from scratch may be difficult or impossible if the power is out and you're dealing with limited fuel sources. Here's the smart way to build your food supply. Don't try to overhaul your entire pantry overnight. Add 1 or 2 extra items each time you go grocery shopping, and your stash will grow steadily without straining your budget. Consider dietary needs, allergies, and preferences, and don't forget comfort foods. When everything feels wrong, a familiar snack or a sweet treat can do wonders for morale. But here's the critical step most people skip. Test your supplies. Actually eat the food you're storing. There's nothing worse than discovering in the middle of an emergency that you hate the taste of those freeze-dried meals you stockpiled. Cook with your stored items occasionally. Rotate them into your regular meals and replace what you use. This keeps everything fresh and ensures you're storing food your family will actually eat. Focus on 4 key factors: calorie count, shelf life, ease of preparation, and variety. Make stockpiling part of your routine, not a one-time panic buy. Include baby food if you have infants, plenty of snacks for kids, and those morale boosters I mentioned: chocolate, pudding cups, candy. These aren't frivolous. When a child is scared and hungry, a familiar treat can be the difference between calm and meltdown. Now let's talk about fire, because this is one of the most versatile survival tools you have. Fire provides warmth, obviously, but it also lets you cook food, boil water to purify it, and signal for help if you need rescue. Keep lighters and matches in waterproof containers and have multiple backups like ferro rods, magnesium fire starters, or cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly. These are incredibly reliable fire starters that work even in wet conditions. But here's what separates prepared people from everyone else. They practice. Don't wait until you're freezing in the dark to figure out how a ferro rod works. Try it now. Get comfortable with each of your fire starting methods so you can use them under stress. Store dry fuel for easy ignition, sticks, dryer lint, or old newspapers or cardboard. Dryer lint is particularly excellent because it catches fire instantly and costs you nothing. Keep a bag of it with your fire starting supplies.
Compact stoves that run on butane or alcohol are useful for controlled flames, whether you're indoors or outdoors, but make absolutely certain they're rated as safe for indoor use. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a real danger. Fire isn't just about comfort in an emergency, it's about survival and maintaining control over your environment. When the power goes out, darkness sets in fast, and it's more disorienting than most people expect. Stock up on headlamps and flashlights. Headlamps are especially valuable because they keep your hands free for other tasks. Keep them charged and ready with spare bulbs and batteries on hand. Store those extra batteries in sealed bags to prevent corrosion. Nothing's more frustrating than reaching for batteries in an emergency only to find they've corroded and become useless. Candles and lanterns provide light and can double as heat sources in a pinch. Rechargeable LED lights and solar-powered lamps are excellent modern solutions, but always have non-electric backups. Technology fails. Batteries die. Solar panels don't work on cloudy days. Glow sticks are particularly handy for kids or for marking paths in the dark so people don't trip over obstacles. Don't rely on a single source of light. Redundancy is your friend in preparedness. Practice using all your lighting options and make sure everyone in your household knows where they are and how to use them. A solid lighting plan reduces fear and increases safety during blackouts. Fear of the dark is primal and it's amplified during emergencies. Having reliable light sources addresses that fear head on. Temperature control is another critical factor that people underestimate until they're suffering. For winter emergencies, indoor safe heaters are essential. Look for propane, butane, or electric models specifically designed for indoor use. But don't rely solely on mechanical heating. Layer up with wool blankets, sleeping bags, hats, gloves, and warm socks. Your body generates heat. The key is retaining it. Wool is particularly effective because it insulates even when wet. In hot climates, cooling becomes the challenge. USB-powered fans can run off power banks or even your laptop, providing relief when air conditioning isn't available. Thermal blankets or emergency space blankets are incredibly versatile. They can reflect body heat back to you in cold weather, or you can use them to block sunlight and keep spaces cooler in heat. Balance your gear for both hot and cold conditions based on where you live, but consider both extremes. Weather patterns are unpredictable and climate emergencies can surprise you. Practice setting up your heating or cooling solutions before you need them. When you're already uncomfortable and stressed, figuring out how to assemble a heater is the last thing you want to deal with. Let's talk about shelter and specifically about one of the most underrated tools in emergency preparedness, the simple tarp. A good tarp can cover broken windows, block wind, create makeshift tents, collect rainwater, and assist with cleanup after a disaster. They're cheap, they're versatile, and they're incredibly durable. Practice setting up tarps with ropes or bungee cords to secure them without nails or tools. Learn a few basic knots. Understand how to create a waterproof seal. If you need to leave your home, a basic tent or heavy-duty emergency blanket can be a game changer. Start with tarps and build your skills. Familiarity with your gear is absolutely crucial when disaster strikes. The middle of a crisis is not the time to read instructions. Now we're moving into medical preparedness, and this is where a lot of people's kits fall dangerously short. A robust home medical kit goes far beyond Band-Aids. Start with the basics: bandages in various sizes, gauze pads, adhesive tape, antiseptic wipes, and pain relievers like ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Then expand to include fever reducers, antidiarrheal medications, allergy pills, motion sickness tablets, and any personal medications your family needs. But don't stop there. Include a thermometer for monitoring fevers, medical tape, elastic bandages for sprains, burn creams, splints for broken bones, instant cold packs, CPR face shields, and at least one tourniquet. That last one is critical. Severe bleeding can kill someone in minutes, and a tourniquet can be the difference between life and death. Get a comprehensive first aid manual and keep it with your supplies. Under stress, your memory fails. You'll forget steps. You'll second guess yourself. A visual guide with clear instructions helps in those critical moments when every second counts. Here's the most important investment you can make. Take a basic first aid or trauma care course. Knowing how to stop bleeding, treat burns, handle fractures, or perform CPR gives you confidence and control when professional help is delayed or unavailable. In a widespread emergency, you can't count on paramedics arriving quickly. You might be the only help available. Hygiene is another area that gets overlooked until it becomes a serious problem. Wet wipes are absolutely indispensable when running water is unavailable. They're useful for personal cleaning, washing dishes, wiping down surfaces, everything. Stock up on them. Hand sanitizer stops germs from spreading and prevents illness when you can't wash your hands properly. Camp soap, which is biodegradable and travel-friendly, is perfect for quick cleanups. Castile soap is particularly versatile. You can use it on your body, your clothes, and surfaces. Don't neglect dental and personal care items. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss, feminine hygiene products, deodorant, and nail clippers might seem minor, but these small items make a huge difference over time. Imagine going 2 weeks without brushing your teeth. It's miserable, and it can lead to dental problems that become serious without access to a dentist.
For waste management, stock up on trash bags, disposable gloves, and disinfectant wipes. These help you manage messes and reduce bacteria in your living space. Hygiene isn't just about comfort, it's about preventing illness and maintaining morale. When people feel dirty and uncomfortable, their mental state deteriorates rapidly. Keeping clean keeps spirits up. Communication becomes critical when normal channels fail. When cell towers are down or overloaded, a NOAA weather radio provides real-time updates directly from the National Weather Service. These radios can be solar-powered or hand-cranked, so they don't depend on batteries or electricity. You'll receive emergency alerts, weather warnings, and official instructions. Two-way ham radios are more powerful communication tools, but they require a license and practice to use effectively. If you're serious about preparedness, getting your ham radio license is worth considering. These radios can communicate over long distances when everything else has failed. Don't overlook low-tech solutions. Whistles, mirrors, and signal lights are simple but effective for communication when technology fails. A whistle carries much farther than your voice and requires less energy. A signal mirror can be seen for miles on a clear day. Make sure everyone in your household knows how to use these tools and understands your communication plan. Where will you meet if you're separated? How will you signal each other? Power management is essential for staying connected, informed, and functional. Store spare batteries for all your devices and keep them in sealed bags labeled for easy access. Solar chargers and power banks are essential, but don't rely on just one type. Consider small battery packs, wind-up chargers, and USB adapters for versatility. Your vehicle can be a power source too. A 12-volt car charger can run or recharge gear, but be mindful not to drain your car battery. You might need that vehicle to evacuate or get supplies. Power is about maintaining your connection to information and your ability to function. Plan ahead for how you'll keep your critical devices running. Let's talk about tools, because there are two that stand above the rest, an axe and a shovel. These are more than just yard tools. They're vital for cutting firewood, breaking through barriers, moving debris, building shelters, and yes, even self-defense if it comes to that. An axe lets you process wood for fire. A shovel lets you dig latrines, create drainage, move snow, or clear paths. Work gloves protect your hands from blisters, cuts, and splinters during heavy tasks. When you're doing manual labor in an emergency, your hands are your most important tools. Protect them. Damaged hands severely limit what you can accomplish. Here's something most people completely overlook: mental health and emotional survival. Survival isn't just physical. The psychological toll of an emergency can break people even when they have all the physical supplies they need. Pack board games, books, headphones, or a tablet loaded with movies and music to keep spirits up. For kids, simple games and coloring books can prevent boredom from escalating into stress and anxiety. Maintaining routines brings normalcy to unnormal situations. Reading before bed, playing games together in the evening, having regular meal times. These familiar activities provide psychological anchors. Distractions like puzzles, podcasts, sketchpads, or Sudoku help break the cycle of worry and keep your mind clear. When you're constantly focused on the crisis, anxiety spirals. You need mental breaks. Entertainment isn't a luxury in an emergency, it's a necessity for maintaining mental health. A family that can still laugh together, that has something to look forward to each day, will weather a crisis much better than one that sits in silence dwelling on fears.
Now let's discuss something that often gets ignored until it's too late: documentation. In chaos, proof of identity and ownership becomes crucial. Make copies of birth certificates, insurance policies, property deeds, marriage licenses, passports, and local maps. Store printed copies in a waterproof folder or bag, and keep digital scans on a USB thumb drive. Maintain a small notebook with important phone numbers, doctors, insurance agents, close relatives, emergency contacts. When your phone dies and you can't charge it, paper saves the day. You might think you know these numbers by heart, but under stress, memory fails. Write them down. You don't need every document ever issued to you, just the ones that prove identity, ownership, and insurance coverage. Quick access to these papers can speed up aid and recovery after a disaster. When you're trying to file insurance claims or prove who you are to authorities, having organized documentation makes everything faster and easier. Keep your documents organized and accessible. Use a fireproof and waterproof container if possible. Make sure multiple family members know where these documents are stored. In an evacuation, you might only have minutes to grab essentials. Knowing exactly where your important papers are can save precious time. Preparedness isn't a one-and-done task. It's a lifestyle, a mindset. By focusing on the essentials and making readiness part of your routine, you can protect yourself and your loved ones from the most common emergencies. This isn't about living in fear. It's about living with confidence, knowing that when something goes wrong, you're ready to handle it. Start small if you need to. You don't have to do everything at once. This week, focus on water and food. Next week, add lighting and fire starting supplies. Build gradually, test your gear, and involve your whole family in the process. Make it a project, not a panic. Share these strategies with friends and family. Encourage them to start building their own kits. Preparedness spreads best through community.
When more people are ready, entire neighborhoods become more resilient. You're not just protecting yourself, you're contributing to a culture of readiness that helps everyone. The quietly prepared aren't paranoid, they're smart, confident, and ready for whatever comes next. They sleep better at night knowing they've taken reasonable steps to protect their families. They don't worry about every news headline because they know they have a foundation in place. If this video opened your eyes to practical preparedness, smash that like button and subscribe to Food Decider for more reality-based survival strategies. Share this with someone who needs to see it, maybe a family member who's been thinking about preparedness but doesn't know where to start, or a friend who's anxious about current events. Stay sharp, stay ready, and remember, the quietly prepared aren't waiting for disaster, they're ready for whatever comes next. The peace of mind that comes from knowing you're prepared is worth every effort you put in. Start today. Your future self will thank you.